Hi my loves, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Welcome if you guys are new. Another month, another TBR. This is my favorite video by far to film every single month. I will say though, our TBR is looking a little slim, so we may be having to pick some new releases to go on the TBR, maybe some Kindle books. We'll kind of switch it up a little bit. I'm sure you know how these videos work by now, but in case you don't, basically I'm going to pick 5 to 6 prompts from a TBR wheel, a random generator if you will. There is about 12 to 15 prompts on here and I'll pick 5 to 6 from that. I feel like the new releases start to calm down a little bit in June. We have a few at the very beginning or like the end of May that I might read in June, but honestly, they calmed down a lot more. May was just so full on and there were so many great releases. The one that was releasing in June was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I actually got a physical ARC for that one, an early copy, which was amazing. And you bet I read it like the day after I received it and it was everything, but I'll talk about that more in my wrap up. But yeah, so I do feel like we have a lot more room on our TBR this month and I feel like I have a better chance to actually finish it, whereas last month I did do pretty well, or I'm doing pretty well, I would say, because we're still in May. But there were just so many new books that kept coming out. And also I'm putting like a good few days aside because the new Boys of Tommen book comes out in a few days and I'm very anxious, I'm very scared, but I'm so excited for that one. But yeah, obviously that's getting a few days put aside for it. And that's at the end of May. So I don't know if we'll finish that before May actually ends, but nevertheless, we're gonna pick my June TBR. So let's pick our first prompt. A book with magic in it. That is pretty easy for me. Let me go get all the candidates and then we'll discuss. Okay, we have a few options. I'm also going to be including some E options, like books that I don't have physically, because my TBR, as I said, is kind of running low, which is surprising. So the first physical option is Lady of Darkness. You guys know, this book has been haunting me. This series has been haunting me since I put it on my TBR. I should have read it a million times by now, and yet I haven't. But I have been seeing so many people read it and love it recently, so it's kind of making me a little bit more intrigued to go into it. This is also, there are currently 4 books out in this series and there is the final one coming out this September, I think it is. I don't know too much about this book apart from the fact that it does have magic in it, obviously. I feel like that's pretty obvious from the cover. It's a fantasy romance. It says on the back, owned by a ruthless assassin lord, Scarlet and her 2 sisters are the most feared trio on the continent. They are wild and unpredictable until a tragic night finds Scarlet locked away in a noble's household until she's ready to fall into line. It sounds good. I do think we have a good amount of romance in this as well, and I have been like feeling like I need to push myself. The reason, and this is not a valid reason, but the reason I haven't been wanting to pick it up is because look how small the font is. And I'm not very good at like getting books on my Kindle when I already have them physically. I don't love it unless it's on Kindle Unlimited. This might be on Kindle Unlimited actually. I should double check that. But the font is so small and my eyes don't like that. Stupid reason for me not picking it up. That is our first option. The second option I kind of have physically. It's actually the second book in the series. I got sent this recently and this is book 2 of the Saga of the Unfated. The first book is called A Fate Inked in Blood. And one of the reasons that this series really intrigues me is because the main protagonist's name is Freya. And I have never read a book with the main protagonist as the same name as me. Again, really not too sure what this book is about. Obviously, I'm not going to read the back of the second book because I don't know what the first book's about. But I do believe it is a fantasy romance. I've seen some mixed reviews, but on the whole, a lot of good ones. So I would either have to just download this or buy the physical copy. I do love the covers as well. I think they're absolutely stunning. So I feel like I probably could buy the physical copy. Third option is the second book to Ember in the Ashes series. This one is probably the one I am leaning to the most just because I've been meaning to pick up that book for the longest time. Again, I don't have it physically at the moment, but I read it, Ember in the Ashes, a few months ago and just absolutely was obsessed with it and I really want to continue the series. So to be honest, as soon as I kind of thought of that, I feel like that's going to be my best option. I think it's called A Torch Against the Night. Yeah, I feel like we're going to go with this option because I'm really intrigued. I really want to continue the series. People just say that it just keeps getting better, which makes me want to continue it even more. I think we're going to go with The Torch Against the Night for our first book, for our TBR, for a book with magic in it, because obviously this is a fantasy series. That is our first book in our TBR. Okay, second prompt. A book in a new series, a series I haven't started yet. Okay, so whilst this is easily an option, these are both options for that. The same books I used last time. I do have another one that is standing out to me a little bit, and I'm a mood reader and I cannot control my sudden desires to read these books. Okay, the book that's standing out to me is none other than Save Me by Mona Caston. This is the first book in the Maxton Hall series. I watched the TV show for this last year when it came out, and to say I was obsessed is an understatement. I absolutely loved every single second of that show. I don't know why, but it just consumed me. I could not not stop thinking about it. I loved the characters, I loved the story, and it's based on books, but it only just got translated into English. They were all in German before. And this arrived in the mail literally yesterday. I am so excited to start this series. I don't think the rest of the series is out yet. I think it's getting published later in the year, but it means I could start it. So I do know technically what happens, but it's been a year since I watched the series. And I think the second season comes out in a few months, which I'm so excited for. So I think the second prom's gonna have to be this. This is the start of a new series and I cannot wait to dive into it. I can't wait to see what the writing's like as well. And this is a translated book, so I also love that. If you don't know, Maxton Hall is basically a college romance. Well, not necessarily college. Are they in? It's a school, technically. They're still in school. But it's kind of rich boy, enemies to lovers type situation. A lot of forced proximity. I just loved it. I loved it and I love the chemistry between our characters and I'm just so excited to be back in that world. So I think Save Me is gonna be the second book on the TBR. Okay, third prompt. The shortest book on my TBR. Well, this is nice. That's a nice change. I usually force myself to read longer ones. I think we're just gonna go physical book, not my Kindle TBR or anything like that. We're just gonna look at my physical books and find the shortest one. I really need to get myself a TBR card so it's a little bit easier for me to organize and know what books are on my TBR because it can get a little bit overwhelming. But anyway, I've gotten 3. I think, oh, now I'm looking at this one. This one definitely isn't the shortest. This is 440 pages. So that's probably not gonna be the shortest. This is Capturing the Devil. It is the 4th book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. This one is the second book to the, what even is this series called? It's called Riding High. The first book is Holding the Reins, which I read recently. Let's see, it's a cowgirl romance. This is 390 pages, so definitely on the smaller side. This is the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. Why is that a tongue twister? 4th book in the series. This is 350 pages, 356. I think this is gonna be the shortest. I couldn't really see anything else that was shorter on my TBR, so I think we're gonna go with this one. I am intrigued about this one, but the series has kind of caught me off guard because covers do not give off how spicy they are. It really just, I didn't expect it. I did want to continue the series though, like, and this was sent to me and I do want to read it. And it's like a really easy, fun kind of read. Like if you need to just switch off your brain and kind of feel like you're watching a cute little TV series, this is a great book. So it's like technically the 4th book in a series, but they're all interconnected standalone. So you can read them in whatever order. It starts with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And basically we're just set in the small town following different characters, different love stories. In this one, I think this is a single dad trope, which is always fun. Oh, she's a nanny. I do love a single dad nanny trope. That's fun. Following Archer and Iris. I feel like this could be really fun. It could be really spicy and I might not love it because I'm reading it for the little interactions, the butterflies. I'm not necessarily reading it for the spice. But anyway, I guess that's gonna be the 3rd book on our TBR. I think we'll probably end up picking 6 prompts just because a lot of the books I've got so far, they're quite small. Like it's nothing too intimidating. So this is the 4th prompt. A book that is extremely hyped up at the moment. Okay, instantly I have one that comes to mind and that is Silver Elite. I have been seeing this all over my For You page. I am very intrigued. A lot of people got arcs and it only just came out, so I can read it. I am really intrigued by this one. I do know that it's a fantasy romance, but that's literally all I know. I probably should let's try and find out what it's about. Oh, it's a dystopian fantasy. Dystopian romance series. Psychological gifts are a death sentence and there are rules to survival. Trust no one. Lie to everyone. And whatever you do, don't fall for your greatest enemy. Okay, I see why this is hyped up. It is clearly a good enemies to lovers fantasy romance or dystopian romance, which is really fun. I also haven't read a dystopian book in like a new dystopian book in a while, definitely in a while. So that is a great option. Another option that I feel like I'm just seeing a lot, it's not necessarily hyped up, but that is Fearless, the 2nd book. No, the 3rd book to the Powerless trilogy, the final book. I've been seeing just everyone read it at the moment because it only came out recently. So that is also one that's been on my TBR and I've just kind of been really intrigued because everyone else is reading it. But to be honest, I think we're gonna go with Silver Elite. I have just been like, that is probably the most hyped up book for the longest time, like almost kind of since 4th Wing. Kind of crazy. But yeah, I think we're gonna put Silver Elite on the TBR. We've definitely gotten a few ebooks this time. That's a bit different. Continuing a series I am currently reading. There are so many options for this. Some I don't have physically, some I do. Let me have a little look. Okay, as I said, there are a lot, but these are the ones that are kind of my top choices, I would say. Yes, I don't have any of the physical books because these are all the first books in the series because I am the kind of person who like, I'll buy the next books when I'm ready to read them. I don't usually, not never, but don't usually buy all the books in the series before I've read them. So there are a few that I mentioned before. A romance option is Riding the High. This obviously is the second book to Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. Just gives Chestnut Springs to me. It's a fun cowboy romance series. I could read the second book to A River Enchanted. I read this recently and absolutely loved it. I loved it so much more than I thought I was going to. The characters, the world, the setting, everything, it was so mystical and whimsical. So and this is only a duology. So once I read the second book, I'm done with the series. Obviously, just mentioned before, I could read Fearless, which is the third book in the Powerless trilogy. I'm also really curious about this one because I've just been seeing so many people, like so many conflicting feelings about the end of the series, and I do want to form my own opinion on that. So that's another option. And then the other option is the second book to The Crimson Moth, The Rebel Witch. I actually have heard incredible things about this one. This is also only a duology, so once I've read that book, I'm done. I definitely could read this one very soon, and I do think I want to get the physical copy for this one. This is the first book, but it's an ARC copy, which is why I haven't gotten the physical copy yet, because they'll look different, but that's fine. I really don't know. You know what? I think we're gonna go with Rebel Witch because I don't have a lot of fantasy on my TBR at all at the moment. I've gotten 2. I'm tempted to go with The River Enchanted, but I don't know, I really want to just finish this duology, and like, again, it's really been hyped up. I'm just kind of in the mood for it at the moment. So I think we're gonna go with The Rebel Witch as the 5th book on my TBR. I've been hearing so many people say that it's actually like better than the first one, and it just really exceeds the duology, so I'm really excited about that because I did really enjoy the first one, but it wasn't by any means like this insane, amazing duology to me. It felt, or rather first book in the duology, it felt quite like similar to a lot of books I've read, but it was so easy to read. It was so easy. Okay, we're gonna go for our last prompt now. A book that makes everyone cry. A book that I've seen people crying all over. Okay, this is kind of hard. I don't know. I don't know if I have any physical books. Let me have a quick look. Okay, I do have 2 options for this. The first one is Before Your Memory Fades. This is the 3rd book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. Honestly, the first 2 made me tear up, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one makes me cry. And honestly, like, I just feel like the characters are very emotional. It's a very emotional storyline. We have a lot going on, and I would easily tear up in this. I also have seen a lot of other people, and it's just so sweet. It's really sweet and cute to read, so that is definitely an option. The second option is Us Against You, which again, don't have the physical book, I'm sorry. I've been on a book buying ban, can you tell? But this is the second book to the Beartown series by Frederick Backman. I recently actually saw Jamie read this series, and she was crying over it, so that's how I know that the second book does make you cry. I did cry in the first book as well. There's just some really raw emotions present in these kind of books. A lot of really touchy subjects that are just, it's really hard to read about, honestly. And so of course I'm going to cry reading about that kind of stuff. Beartown really exceeded my expectations. It was not what I was expecting, but I really loved it. And I do think you have to look up trigger warnings before you go into it, because as I said, a lot of sensitive topics discussed in this, but a lot of prevalent, important topics also discussed in it. I really don't know. That's a really tough call between these 2 for me. I'm just gonna let my boyfriend choose. Austin, just pick one. Okay, he picked Before Your Memory Fades. This was a little bit, I didn't really think of that, a little bit subjective because he does love this series. Didn't really think of that, but to be honest, it's probably good. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to go on to the rest of the series yet. This is gonna be the 6th book on our TBR, and I do think that makes it a very manageable TBR for the month. We have a lot of variety, which is very exciting. So let's do a little recap. First of all, we have the second book to the Ember in the Ashes series, which I am so excited to finally read and to be continuing this series. We then have Save Me, which is the first book in the Maxton Hall series, the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, the Rebel Witch, which is the second book to A Crimson Moth, the final book in the duology, and then of course Before Your Memory Fades. So I feel like we have a really interesting TBR. This is definitely one that's a little bit outside my comfort zone. We've got a few different books on here. Hopefully I will get to them all because, oh wait, and Silver Elite. I forgot Silver Elite because I don't have it physically. Sorry, Silver Elite as well is on my TBR. So we do have a bit of a range. We have a bit of a range. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully we'll get to all of them. I'm very much intrigued by Silver Elite as well. I'm hoping it lives up to all the hype that it's been getting. Those are the books my TBR prompts chose for me. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Thank you so much for staying to the end. It really truly means the absolute world to me. But thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in my next video.